Yeah, I think the one at Page Porter had like such a long line, and I went to the wrong one. But anyway, it worked out.
You did good then. You still did good.
Exactly.
You can't mess up with them.
So welcome everyone to ACMI's stakeholder meeting. Each month we try to bring experts in with relevant topics to talk about subjects that are important to us. This month we're really excited to have experts from Grace Secure Forensic Residential. They call them FASTRIS in New Orleans.
Okay, Calvinisha.
And
Sorry.
that's okay. And this month we have Pythion Noah, who is the Grace Outreach Director and CEO, and Dr. Sarah Deland, right? And she is the Outreach Center's medical director and an adult psychiatrist, forensic neuropsychiatrist specialist. And with that, do you want me to share the document, or do you want to just first?
But what I wanted to say first was when you contacted me, when I got the contact, I was glad I sent you some information pretty much about what a FESTRA program is. We wanted to be of help to you. We've been doing this for a minute, for about 20, 25 years now. And when you reached out to me, I thought, if anybody's trying to do what we do, God bless them. And I wanted to make sure I just sent you some information. So if that can help you, then we're here for you to do that. Dr. Deland is one of our psychiatrists that works with us. I asked her to be on the call just to make sure that if there was some questions y'all could have come up with that maybe we can help y'all as far as giving you information, giving you a good head start on which way to go and how to do this, at least the way we do it. So with that, we're open.
Okay, so what interested me when I talked to Pythion first was that they've been doing this for a long time. They're doing it for people that have serious mental illness. They have secure residential, and we talked about some of the common issues, where people are concerned that people have had a violent past or had a felony conviction. Some providers are frightened of that and they won't take them, but they have done a pretty good job. I mean, over the past 20 to 25 years, you can kind of describe your program. You get them from, and I'll share what you.
Well, a lot of our clients, all of our clients, rather, they come either from the mental hospital or from jails. Okay, we take them from both places. Okay, so it's more optimal when they go to the mental hospital first, then come to us. But at times we have to take civils and even some NGBRIs straight out of jail to us. So you got to kind of be in place to do that also. And it's a lot to try to explain to you how the program works. I mean, if you have any questions, I could better facilitate it that way. If you have questions, because I don't quite know yet what y'all really doing, Miss Goldstein, up there, or how far y'all into it. But I mean, anything we can do to help, we're here for that. So if y'all have questions, I think that would better.
Okay. So some of the questions are with your program. So you get people that either are coming from jail or psychiatric hospitals. What when they come into your program now, they're living at your secure residential. Is there a typical stay before people are stable enough to step down to a not secure, or how does that work? Do you have staffings, and do the doctor, the clinical team say, I think their meds are stable, I think they're working their program, I think they can step down? Try to explain how you manage that.
Sarah, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here. So
Okay.
we don't have so right now the population in there is primarily either not guilty by reason of insanities or civil commitments that have forensic involvement, people that were found irrestorably incompetent. We occasionally get a pretrial person. We're working on that, but right now that's our population. We don't really have a designated length of stay because this is all about mental health progress. Plus the fact we get people that have all been criminally involved and they all want to know what's their time. How long is it going to be here? When do I get out of here? How long do I have to be here? And it's really impossible to say. So I, all along, ever since I started this about 30 years ago, I've never told anybody a time because they're so used to the criminal justice system that then they want to hold you, to that time, no matter what. But that all being said, we have had people that have done very well. And what would you say, Noah, is about the quickest anybody's ever been through there? Maybe a little bit less than a year?
Right. That's what I was going to say. I'm going to say anywhere between 11 and 14 months.
Yeah. And
That
then,
was the turnaround time.
but then, we do have people that, if they weren't with us, they'd be on the long-term civil ward of the hospital and probably never leave
Mhm.
because they really cannot, they don't have family. They really need this level of care. So there are some individuals who are there for a long time and I think Noah and I know a couple people that are probably just home right now. This is probably
Right. They are home.
this is home for them.
I think
And
our longest client right now is 12 years.
yeah. So so it just varies and depends upon, how they do and whether or not they're able to maintain in a smaller or a less restrictive facility with less supports. We really have a dearth in Louisiana of, well, really, this is the only licensed group home in the entire, well, excluding those for developmentally disabled, which of course is under a whole nother program.
Correct.
Aside from that, for adult residential individuals with mental disorders, this is the only licensed group home in the entire greater New Orleans area and beyond. I would say in the entire state of Louisiana, we maybe have
One.
four
I think
or
one.
five licensed group homes,
Oh, licensed.
three of which are our locked forensic group homes. Other than that, there's maybe only one or two in the entire state. So we have a big problem then with the step down units too, which is something we're working on.
So how big is your facility and how do you get payment? Because you can't get paid by and we have some questions like how are you funded? Any Medicaid? Is it all state paid? Are you licensed by the state?
Yes, we're pretty much licensed as a hospital by the state, but it's all state paid. It's all state paid. That's our contract is with the state to provide forensic services.
I have a question. Where do the people who graduate go to in Louisiana?
Well,
go ahead, Sarah.
We have some people that are able that have family. That eventually, after they've displayed this significant period of time of being compliant and being better and not creating trouble, and they'll start to go on passes with their family, and they may be to go and live with their family. Then we have, we have a lot of unlicensed places that call themselves group homes. They're really not. They're just places where people live, and sometimes there's somebody there to help them, and sometimes there's somebody there to provide them with food. And we try a lot of those places to find the best one that's got some level of assistance. And some of them will go to those places. We have a couple of sober living facilities for people that are higher functioning that essentially can do a lot of taking care of themselves with some supports.
Mhm.
But that's really that's what I believe is really missing in the state of Louisiana, because the Louisiana Department of Health has just apparently stopped caring whether people are licensed or not that are providing services for the chronically mentally ill. I mean, housing services. So
Yeah.
It's probably
That's-
cheaper that way, right?
yeah.
So many of these people, when you get them, get them their Social Security money, and I guess most of them would qualify for Medicaid in Louisiana, right?
Yes. Yes.
And do you provide physical and behavioral health care in the facility, or just
Yeah,
behavioral health?
both.
Both. So you're an integrated.
Correct. Well, we have to be, because these
Yeah.
guys, remember, they're on majority psychotropic meds, and
Yeah.
some of them are in age, so they're going to have the usual problems from diabetes to high blood pressure.
Yeah.
The whole shoot match come into play,
Right.
and we have to deal with that. Our facility has RN, LPN, and we have a doc comes in like twice a week on the physical side. Then we got the podiatrist coming in, and the dietitian comes in, the whole shoot match.
Wow. Well, it sounds like state of the art.
Well, we're pretty premier. I got to brag on that one myself. But also, we do have a plan. I mean, I don't want to go into detail, but we have a plan for a step down, and we know that it works. So at another time, I'm sure we could talk about that step down component, because, but it's connected to the FESTRA unit. Even though it's a step down, it's connected to the FESTRA, and it does work.
So
So
you
that-
guys
that's
follow,
definitely-
you guys follow the people that step down then, and
Absolutely.
if they don't comply, then they step back up, right?
That's absolutely correct. We do follow them.
Is everybody there on a court order? I mean, or are
Yes.
they voluntary, or they're court order?
No, court order.
Do they
Now
have
that's
like probation or officers and things like that?
correct. That's the golden ticket now.
The not guilty by reason of insanity people
No.
have
Yeah.
probation officers. Of course, the judicially
Yep.
committed, civilly committed ones do not.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, we have a similar situation when someone is on probation and has a probation officer. They adhere and comply with treatment a little better than those who don't. I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the court order is the thing that does it too. As long as they got that court order, that's a plus.
How many
Is it-
people are in the facility?
Pardon me?
How many people are in the facility?
Right now, we are at 51, I believe, and we could top it off at 60. We've been up to 95. Right now, we're at 51, and our max is 60.
So how many staff do you have on each shift? Let's just talk about direct care staff.
Direct care staff is proportionate to the contract levels, meaning if you have X amount of clients, let's say 10, for
Yeah.
every 10 clients, you need one care staff.
Okay.
It's more than that. I think it's more like 15 or something. For every 15 people, you got to have a care attendant.
Okay.
What does secure mean?
Pardon me?
What does secure mean? You're
It's
secure
a lock
facility.
unit. It's a lock unit.
It's a lock
um,
unit.
Yeah, our unit is a supervised lock unit. One way in, one way out. Of course, there's like 20 doors and windows and everything for emergencies, but it's a lock unit. It's
Do they have
Pardon me?
outside facility, do they have outside
Yes.
grounds?
gated. Yes, they do. They play basketball, horseshoes, the whole shooting match, smoking yard, all of that. But it's gated. It's all gated. Everything is gated.
Do you ever have
Everything is
people?
secure. Pardon me?
Have you ever had an AWOL attempt?
Oh, yeah. In 30 years, yes, indeed.
I figured.
Uh,
How long?
do people
Yeah.
have private rooms, or is it a
Two to a room.
dorm, or,
Two to a room.
okay,
And listen, I've found, see, experience is the best teacher. I remember once in the beginning, we bought a hotel. So two to a room, they had their own bathroom in the room.
yeah,
We caught hell. Okay,
because,
see, now in the new building that we're in now this is 23 years ago, but in the new building that we're in now, we were able to purchase the VA in New Orleans on Porter Street, and we remodeled it. Cost a good penny to remodel, about $2 million. And once we got it remodeled, we put latrine bathrooms. Okay, like you got 5 showers in a bathroom, 5 toilets, 5 sinks, and in another latrine bathroom, 5 showers, 5 like that. When we did it that way, you can control the activity going in and out, and it works well.
yeah,
Oh man, it works excellent. See that private room thing, that private bathroom thing it creates a problem.
yeah,
So that's what we've done here.
is it women and men, or just men?
Women and men, but
Women and
we
men,
have a separate unit for women. The women never see a man and the men never see a woman.
okay.
And you got to keep it that way, because if a woman gets into play, then she'll be the
Hello,
queen.
you've reached Amy Bennett, Financial Guide.
I went ahead and muted someone.
Okay. So yeah, but we do have females also.
But separate, yeah.
Oh yes, most definitely.
Yeah, do you have some sort of rules about who you bring in? Like, for example, would you bring in someone who has a strong history of violence or a sexual offender? Do you take everybody, or do you have some criteria?
What'd you say about that, Sarah?
So the bottom line is the people that come to us, like I said, most of them probably have been in the forensic hospital. So they've had their period of treatment. They've had either the review panel if they're not guilty by reason of insanity, or they've had assessment by the treatment team. And if it's a violent crime of violence for the reason they're civilly committed, then they have like a second opinion kind of thing, which is like a little pseudo review panel. And so most of the people that come to us have been in active treatment and demonstrated a period of compliance and appropriate behavior. So so we have people, everything from, drug charges to murder charges there at the forensic unit. We have I would have to echo what Noah said about, we sometimes do take people that are diverted from the jail or are out in the community and having a lot of trouble, and they've either got to come to us or they're going to have to go to the forensic hospital. That's always more of a crapshoot, because we don't have as much demonstrable behavior. But even the people coming from the jail, we have workers from the state program, Community Forensic Services, to get information from them. And usually they've been seen by what we call the Sanity Commission down here, where the judge appoints, a couple of doctors to evaluate people. We have information from them, and that's usually how the recommendations come. Or if they're out in the community, they're probably being followed by another part of the forensic mental health system that I work in, and so we have assessments. So that's the bottom line. Although, yes, if it appears that somebody is actively unsafe, then we may say we think this person needs a period of stabilization in the hospital before they come to us. But really it's based upon their current behavior.
Yeah. By the way, you're licensed as a hospital, right? Is that what you said?
Well,
No.
it's not a hospital, but all out is it's a secure group home. Okay.
Okay.
Now, since we're the only one, for us to get past LDH, which is DHH, Department of Health and Hospitals in New Orleans, in Louisiana, the only way they can inspect us is with hospital rules because we're the only one.
Yeah.
So they for them to come in. I remember when they first did it. When they first came in, they said we don't have anything to inspect you by but hospital rules. So
Wow.
I had to comply with that. I mean, even in the building, this is a group home. I had to put firewalls in.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to do everything that a hospital does. I couldn't get around it, but it's needed. And it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I kicked against that prick for a long time, but it does work. And because see, now I'm seeing the long-term progress of everything. I'm seeing the clients now that I had 20 years ago. I'm seeing what's happening to them now. And so I see what's fixing to come down the pike. So this is perfect for them in every manner. Sarah was talking about how sometimes we have to just take somebody out of the community. And when we do things like that, because we have this facility situated as such, it's easy. It's not as hard, and that client feels kind of comfortable, even though they're psychotic at the time, and they don't feel threatened. Let's put it that way. Going through whatever they're going through at the time mentally, but the facility it works now, and that's a big plus because it's all about the community. It's all about them. So if that works for them, we need to work it. And that's exactly what's happening now.
So
Do you hire peers as staff sometimes?
Yeah, peer support
Yeah.
specialists. Yeah, matter of fact, we got one right now. But I mean, everything else is care staff, social workers. Uh, we have a lot of the care attendants is what we train to do a lot of the groups per se. Like, believe it or not, we still have to do some basic education, math, reading, arithmetic, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because some of them are far removed from that. History, banking. I mean, some of the real simple, minute things you think of to us is just, secondary, but to them, it's major. So we have to do those things.
so
Arts
life
and
skills,
crafts.
right? Life skills
Pardon
in
me?
general?
All life skills. Well, we do all the life skills. We have a program for that. But I'm just talking about as far as some of the elementary things, they need that, and it keeps their minds working too. It keeps them busy. And it works. It works. We don't take it for granted.
What do you do if someone is there and they've been doing pretty well and all of a sudden they start cycling and they become violent? How do you handle them? Do you seclude them? Do they stay at your secure residential, or do they have to go back to a hospital for a little med tune up and come back?
It depends. It all depends. All that is by person. All that is it depends on the person, the situation, how, when, where. Remember, all employees have CPI training, so we're good with conflict and how to break things down and to shut things down and to control certain areas. And it all depends. A lot of times, not a lot of times, but at times we'd have to call Sarah. We'd get the what's that thing called, Sarah?
The PEC, the
PEC, correct.
72-hour hold papers.
And we get them to the hospital and
Mhm.
let them deal with them. Sometimes they send them right back, right back. But that right back worked. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. It's their mental health issues. It's hard for you to pinpoint some things with them at times. But as long as you keep them in the program, just keep them in the program, and eventually it works.
So how do you engage someone that doesn't want to engage? That's one. And two, do you have people, like I'm sure you must, because people are complex, that have more than just SMI? So maybe they have autism, maybe they have personality disorder, maybe they have PTSD. How do you deal with those other conditions that could affect behaviors?
I'll
We
let Sarah talk about it, but we got all of that.
Oh, yeah, we got, because the
We
bottom
have
line
all of that.
the bottom line is their forensic involvement.
Yep.
So it's very common for us to have serious mental illness plus developmental disabilities plus substance use problems. You know, and I think we did have one person whose very primary problem was pretty significant autism.
Mm.
And I think that was eventually we had to help them find their way to a DD facility because that's more, that's more built for that. They probably should have been in those services to begin with, but we managed. The staff is very patient. A lot of the staff have been there for a long time. We also have at this point pretty good relationships with the local hospitals, so we have a good dialogue with them if we have to send somebody to the emergency room. We also have tight relationships with the substance use treatment community. And so there are people that will come into Grace Outreach to help with the substance use treatment. We have regular meetings, staffings, with the psychiatrist and the staff and stuff. And so then we can talk about individuals that have things like personality issues that sometimes interfere with treatment or sometimes really stretch the limits of calm and
That's what you
patience
call
on the unit. And we have the opportunity to discuss those things. And I and the other psychiatrists, we're all available. So, we might get calls all the time saying, look, so-and-so's blah, 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 doing this or doing that. And we can, say, look, I'll be right over to talk to them or see if we send them to the hospital, or, if you can manage them, I'll come tomorrow and talk to them. But, it's so case by case, like I said, because the bottom line is that if they're a forensic patient, you never know what you never know what you get.
So
And
I'm sure
I think
you have,
what helps is the trained staff. You got to have a trained staff, and we have what, 5 doctors, 4 or 5 doctors now. So we have the liberty of calling them. I mean, we talk with them continually, all day, all night, sometimes, making sure we can facilitate that client whatever he's going through at that time with the help. It's a team. It's a team.
so with respect to medications, you dispense medications. People don't keep their own meds in their own area.
No, no.
No,
All the meds are in the pharmacy. We have an active working pharmacy, and everything is kept in the pharmacy, and they come to the window.
yeah.
That's how that works.
Could you describe the day in the life of a person who's living there? What is it? What's happened? They all get up and have group breakfast, and then
Right. Well, then they go to whatever that day brings to them that day, as far as groups and daily activities. Now, all that needs to be spelled out. Okay, the whole schedule needs to be out, not just for them, but for the employees too. Because remember what we're dealing with, and these folks, they're used to some kind of program. You can't just let them have their way at any time. You gotta make sure that you're providing services. That's important. And they don't have to be major services, okay? Meaning, for instance, when we do, like this Friday, we're taking everybody to what we call Lafayette Park, right? Now, that means all hands on deck, right? All staff, because that's a big thing, right? So when we get to Lafayette Park, then we provide some different things inside of Lafayette Park, different games. And these games that we have, if every one of our employees, they'll have a group of people that they're over, right? And we chart on that. The little bitty things, we chart on all of it so that when we have our monthly meeting, which we do, I think, every third Wednesday, when we meet with all the doctors, all the DFCs, everybody it's a big meeting that everybody that has anything to do with them are there, then we share all that information. But you got to have an activity schedule, a daily activity schedule. And that's built around the clients, okay, and who they are. Like if we got a bunch of young ones, they like to play basketball. They like the yard more than anything. Okay,
Yeah.
but still a daily thing is waking up, the grooming, the ADLs, the chores, do a lot of arts and craft, life skills, then we do groups. It depends on the client, what group it is, okay?
Yeah.
We do a
So
lot
it's
of substance abuse stuff. We do a lot of that. Med education, big. Recreation is big, okay? And we talk about vitals and meds and things of that nature.
Coping
Spiritual support.
skills. Coping
Pardon me?
skills.
Coping skills, that's part of life skills, yeah. Coping
So,
skills.
it sounds like your day is pretty structured. Is there like,
Every hour.
Every hour? It sounds like
Every hour.
not a typical hospital probably doesn't have that kind of
No.
structure. But
No, it doesn't.
yeah.
I mean, even our showers, man, we even monitor that to see, okay, what's going on. I mean, we've had I've had a client wouldn't want to get in the shower because the shower, he couldn't see through it.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't go in. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we find somebody that'll go in the shower on and soap themselves up.
All right.
Okay. So we have to chart on that. We see, and then we definitely call the doctor, quick question, a hurry, and let them know what's going on so they can advise us which way to go. But it's very important that we keep that line of communication open with the doctors, the psychiatrists, because ours, I don't know about others, but ours definitely know what they're doing.
You're lucky.
Yes, we're blessed.
So we had a question. Someone asked if you could rediscuss what was wrong when there were the two in a bedroom and they had their own bathroom. What were the problems that you experienced where you say these kind of communal, almost, well, not communal, but almost shared
When they came, remember, a lot of our people are forensics, so they spent time in jail and mental hospitals, so on and so forth, before they got to us. So they still have certain attitudes with them. We put out fires. They were smoking. They'll take batteries and make fires, and oh man, it was a nightmare. Then you had the commingling with the men, and I mean, they would go in there and stop up everything. They would take the shower curtain and press all the way down the pipe of the toilet. Okay, so where you can't see it anymore, but now it's stuck.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was a nightmare. Now.
So just mischief in general, right?
Yes. It and it takes away, and it takes time away, because you have to be very attentive to what's going on around you when you're at the center. Very attentive. So I just found we had better. I mean, it just worked better for us when we did the big shower thing and the big bathroom thing. When they had to go to the bathroom, just to go in the middle of the night. This is another one. We found that and this helped us. A couple of our older guys, they were going to the bathroom like at night after lights out, like 5 times.
Mhm.
That was red flag. Something is wrong. Okay,
Yeah.
so we had the doctor talk to him, found out the diabetes was kicking in, and one of them with the cancer. I mean, you see, little things like that you have to pay attention to because they can't tell you that. They can't and they won't. So you got to pay attention. That's why you got to have a staff that's trained. You got to train them and train them to the clients.
So along with that, so do you have a lot of patients on clozapine? That's probably for the doctor. And if so, how do you manage all of their multiple other meds and associated problems if not managed really well with, getting impacted or?
Well, we have, we have the lab person. We have somebody that comes and draws labs there. So we can get all their lab work done. And then, we have the primary care person who comes in regularly. We have nursing staff there all the time. And so I get reports frequently from my patients about if they're manifesting anything that's concerning, be it physical or mental health. And so, we just really don't hesitate with this population with their difficulties with communicating and expressing themselves. And we all know that this population tends to die much quicker than the regular population. I can't tell you how many people I've had that all of a sudden when their cancer gets diagnosed, it's way too late to do anything. And these are people that have gone to primary care appointments and complied with things, but they just don't communicate very well because of their mental illness. So we really have very little hesitation to send people wherever they need to go, whether they need to go to the emergency room or whatever, or even if we can just tell they're saying something to us that is probably psychotic,
Mhm.
but it means that something is wrong.
Mhm.
That's right. That's right.
And still, and as careful as you are, things will happen all the time that surprise you. We have a guy that somehow we still haven't figured out how managed to burn the tops of both of his feet
Mm.
to the point that
It's a
he
mystery.
to have a skin graft,
Oh my
and
goodness.
only discovered because he was limping. He had socks on and everything over it, and they didn't even know what it was at first. We sent him immediately to the emergency room. They weren't sure what it was, and of course, he's telling crazy stories. He's been there the whole time. Football players kidnapped me and took me to Mississippi and poured battery acid on my feet and then brought me back. Just ridiculous things. He has never, I mean, it's very obviously self-inflicted because there would have been some kind of commotion if somebody had done it to him. But we still don't know what it was. He still
And
hasn't. And so
Right.
I have an incredibly low threshold for sending him to the emergency room if he needs it, because I know it was self-harm.
Yeah.
With no warning. And so, you just have to you kind of just have to learn that about the folks. Like, they're saying this, but what does it really mean? Or they're not saying, what does it mean when they don't say this? Or what does it mean when they don't get up and put their shoes on or something? So so a lot of it is just helpful to have that 24-hour observation of them with the staff. And I
Good.
just have a very low threshold for sending my guys to the emergency room if I think they need it.
That's right.
When you send someone to the emergency room, or do you send staff with them? Or
Absolutely.
so they're, but if someone gets admitted to a hospital, you wouldn't send the staff to be there, would you?
It depends, but we only deal with hospitals that know who we are and who those patients are.
Yeah, I suppose sometimes they ask for 1-to-1 or something as well, or at least ours do.
Yeah, it depends on the situation, but we work well with our hospitals here. Well, the ones we use.
I don't
Yeah.
think that we've usually had to have somebody there like 24/7 if they've been admitted to an inpatient. However, we usually, since our guys are chronically mentally ill, generally whatever hospital they're at, we mainly use the one right down the street. But they generally, consult the psychiatry people, the consult liaison psychiatry who all know us. And so a lot of times, our people are also placed on a psychiatric hold. So we have that
And we
level.
can leave, right?
We have that level of security in the hospital.
Do you have to use restraint or seclusion in your facility?
We've never
We do.
had to use,
Never. Wow.
never.
I mean, I think aside from, what you would learn in I forget what the new initials are, Noah, for the
CPI.
yeah, the CPI of, like a temporary hold to keep somebody from hurting themselves or hurting somebody else. But
Right.
aside from that, because generally then it's, people will calm down long enough for us to whisk them off to the hospital.
Right.
So you don't use stat medications either, I guess.
No, not to bring them down. No, we don't use at all. We don't use anything like that to knock
Now,
down. We don't do it.
Now, we have, I think, on occasion, if somebody's just in general been significantly agitated over a period of time, like I might call in and say, why don't you
Give
give
them that.
one-time dose of Zyprexa to them now? But we
Yeah.
don't really just have like, Haldol Ativan injections or anything like that, like they do in the hospital that we give.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's worked.
But we tend to jump in very quickly and very early if we see some type of beginnings of, deterioration in mental health or beginnings of agitation. And, the staff over there is so good, and some of them have been there for so long that they'll notice what to the rest of us that aren't with them 24/7 would be very subtle changes.
Mhm.
I get calls all the time from Miss Barbara. I'm just letting you know that so-and-so is starting to talk again about blah, blah, blah. And remember last time when he did that. So, the trick I think is we just jump in very, very early and take it very seriously when any of the staff reports any concerning behavior to us.
So do you have a one sheet or something? Let's say, it sounds like you have a lot of great staff that have been with you for a long time, which is wonderful. I mean, nothing is better than great staff, but if someone gets sick or you have new people or you need a temporary staffing from a temporary agency because people are sick, do you have a one-sheeter that tells the new nurse, the new tech, all about this person? Here's what they have, here are their behaviors, here are things to look out for. How do you communicate and get the new people up on the skills and the knowledge?
Even our PRN people are trained. It's all about the training. Bottom line, it's about the training, even for the PRNs, for the on-call people. And you got to have those people. You have to have those, because just as you say, people get sick, accidents, whatever, personal stuff gets into play. But it's just not one person that knows everything. Remember, we're doing all these, what we call round robin meetings kind of thing, where everybody's on the same page at all times. It's not just one person has the whole enchilada. It's not like that. It's a team effort. Everybody knows kind of everything.
Okay. And someone asked, I'll get back to Dick's, but are families allowed to visit the loved ones at the facility? That's one. And two, after someone's showing progress and stabilization, do you allow them to go out with a family member that you know is a safe person for them, like not a druggie or not someone that's toxic to them, but do you allow them family passes if the family's healthy?
Yeah, you can answer that, Sarah, if you like. But yeah, we do.
Absolutely.
Yep.
After a certain period of time, you know, where they can always have visits, you know, if it's, you know, if it's not a restricted person. And a restricted person might be like their drug buddy, or, you know, if they request, you know, mom was horribly abusive to me my whole life and I really don't want to see mom. You know, we're not going to make them, you know, we're going to tell mom, no, you can't come visit. But other than that, and then after a certain period of time, which is usually a few months, they can go. We have a system for progression of passes. So first, you know, they'll have like a pass out in the community with family, you know, several times. And if that goes well, if family wants to come to the house, then we have workers that actually we go out and actually do a home study at everybody's house where they want to go. So somebody actually goes, like if mom wants to have them come for a visit, somebody goes out to mom's house, checks out the house, you know, who lives there. Is there presence of alcohol or drugs in the house? Are there any firearms in the house? You know, does mom really understand, you know, the significance of their mental illness and their need for their medication? And generally we'll start with day passes, and then eventually, you know, if they want, they'll go to overnights. Like right now we have a couple people, Noah, that are going on passes even up to almost 2 weeks, you know,
We got about 4 people doing that now.
as a process of transition. And ever, you know, as I'm sure you know, a lot of these people have burnt a lot of bridges along the way. And so some people, families are very reluctant, and they appreciate the ability to have this slow progression of longer and longer passes home before they can agree to take them home. And then, you know, we have, you know, and it's too bad, but we have some people like whose mom would love to have them, but mom is on Section 8, you know, housing. So they can only go for like 2 weeks at a time or something to visit. Otherwise, they'd probably be able to live with them. But so we just try to tailor it to different people. And some people don't want to take them overnight. You know, some families like, oh, you know, he broke my nose. No, you know, I'm happy to have him come to the house for a while to visit with us, but then he's going to have to go back. So,
right.
Does when somebody comes back from one of these visits, are they searched?
Yeah, definitely. There's a holding place, and when they walk through the door, they stop right there in this holding area, and that's where the search is done. It's a supervised lock facility.
Yeah.
Not jail, but supervised lock. Okay.
Okay.
No, they just can't bring anything in here.
Have you ever had someone try to bring drugs in? Or
I done threw away more weed and pills and crack and knives and little bitty funny pokers and punches, and oh man, over the years I had a drawer full of stuff. I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, anything you can think of, they're gonna try to do it. Mm-hmm. That's who they are.
But
and a lot of them,
it sounds like you deal with it with compassion instead of calling the police on them and having them go back to prison, you know?
No, we don't do that. When we call the police, it's serious. But no, that's why we're a Grace Outreach Center. First of all, we're a nonprofit. We are a mission. It's a ministry. Even though it's kind of like on the level of maybe Red Cross or Salvation Army or something, but it's still a ministry to this community, to these group of people. One of my pet peeves is that we continue to try to put them into our communities when we need to build a community for themselves, because our community eats them up. They spit them out. They need their own community, and we need to build that for them. That's what Grace does.
So they form friendships. I mean, you said that the men and women are separate and they don't see each other. What about part of normal life is relationships at some point? Do you try to, or do you encourage at some point if someone's showing progress that they can have and see
Well-
someone of the opposite sex so it's not a shock when they get out?
Yeah, no, it's never a shock whatever they do, but remember their lives will never be what we say is normal ever again. To the norm as far as normal goes. But they have to have a quality of life. And we have to provide that for them. But no, it's no shock that they do that.
We do have people that do have relationships. Some people have, wives, or I'm talking about, wives or girlfriends or whatever, their significant other, before they came in that actually are still there. We do have individuals that, reconnected maybe with an old girlfriend or something since they've been there that wants to come and visit. And we accommodate those things as long as, nobody's coming and bringing drugs or anything like that. So, and we have, done, home studies with friends or with significant others to see if they can do those passes and stuff. So really it's just a matter of, is this person, healthy and not, sabotaging their treatment. Obviously we get somebody in there that talks about, he needs to get off all those meds and, you all are poisoning him and he's not going to take those when he's with me. Well, obviously that's not going to be, we're not going to approve that pass, but no, we, and, we actually had somebody that, I mean, whether it was appropriate or not, he came to us from Baton Rouge in another facility. And while he was there, he had been going to a day program, like an IOP.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the workers there was somebody that he had known a long time ago. And they started developing a romance while he was going to the IOP. So, that's a whole different conversation.
Yep.
Ever once he moved and was no longer, but according to him, she quit the IOP in order to continue to date him. And then he moved to New Orleans, and I think he ended up moving with her, didn't he, Noah?
He sure did.
He ended up moving back with her. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
when those things happen, there's no bar. There's no bar to it as long as it's, like I said, it's not a destructive person that we would restrict for destructive reasons.
Now, we had a question about, with many states handling all these challenges to federal programs, how did you convince the state to fund your facility? And with that, when you send people out, since you don't get Medicaid money for the behavioral health, do they still maintain their Medicaid so they can have all that medical health covered?
Absolutely. Is that correct, Sarah? They absolutely keep their Medicaid.
They do have their Medicaid for all of that. And what was the first part of your question?
They want to, I think Dick wanted to know, how did you convince your state people to spend money on this chronically mentally ill?
It wasn't. It was we had a governor that slashed the mental health budget and closed down a whole bunch of closed one state hospital completely and slashed the beds at the forensic hospital. And so basically the way this started was when they were trying to figure out a way to discharge some people from the hospital, and all the low-hanging fruit was already gone. You know, all the people that could survive out there in your just average community home or go home with family was already out of the hospital. So this basically was born out of the fact that since it's basically people that only could, it started out was only people that could leave the hospital with this type of facility there.
Mhm.
And so, but there were people that could leave the hospital with this type of facility in place. And of course, despite the fact that it costs money, it's cheaper than the cost of an inpatient bed. So that's how it came about, was a waiting list for the hospital. So,
And now it's morphed. It's big now.
yeah,
Like,
it
wow.
turned into more than that, but all of it keeps people out of the inpatient side of it, which saves the state money. So that's
Correct.
how the state became involved in providing for this program.
Is this facility in between state hospital and level 1 or what is it considered?
It's more
I'm
like
sorry.
it's more like a secure birth, Janina, but for
Oh,
forensic.
okay. Well, that's a wonderful program you have.
But no, they have forensic patients, but they also have civilly committed patients. So they have NGEI, so not guilty except
Oh.
insane, and they have civil patients that are committed under civil because they're incompetent or non-restorable. So they have all of that, and it's a pretty big facility. I mean, they have typically 60 people up to 95, but right now they have 51, and the idea is they have a really highly trained staff that know the people and help them learn and recover. And they provide a lot of rudimentary services to get their skills up, both daily living and even educational, basic math, basic other things. So
Right.
it seems like they create a program that the people at this level need.
Oh, I see. So yeah, no, this is amazing, an amazing program.
Well,
So-
whenever y'all get back in town, we'll go to Ruby Slipper and then we'll give y'all a tour. How about that?
I will
Well,
fly down for it, but Dr. Mike Franczak is a psychologist who came up with a version of residential behavioral health, even in community living that doesn't have to have medical necessity. And he will be there in a couple of weeks. So I'm sure, Mike, you would love to tour the facility.
Yeah, I'll be there in New Orleans on the week of the 17th. If somehow you can give Lori some way to contact, I would love if you could allow me to pop by. I do
Lori
have
has
one
it
other-
all. Chuck.
So-
Lori has it all. She even called the wife, and the wife jumped on me.
So,
She called the wife.
Call the
I'm
wife.
sorry, I joined the meeting a little bit late, so I'm interested in the your facility. So if you don't mind giving me like a website or something like that, or contact, because I would love to look more into this, and maybe we can steal this model and have something in Arizona push
Listen.
through.
Y'all
I
could
think-
steal a model. We could come and show you how it works. I gave Ms. Goldstein a lot of the paperwork. So I mean, y'all feel free. I mean, anything we could do to help.
Yeah.
Um,
Noah, I mean,
Yes.
Tyson, when you and your wife come out, because their son is here in Arizona.
yeah, he's
let
an
us know.
engineer there.
Yeah, so let us know. We'd love to host you for a dinner or something, because this was great. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that Janet Hayes, was able to connect us. Yay, Janet.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So so Lori, if you have their website or something, I would love to take a look, because we desperately need something of this caliber in Arizona. So it's great to hear that you guys have a program like this.
So again, I want to be respectful of your time. I mean,
Yes.
I think we could go on forever, but I don't think that you plan to stay forever. If
Nope.
you want to continue, you
No.
can. And if not, then we can go over to the portion of our stakeholders where we talk about, and you might find it interesting, though you're not presenting, of people and the issues that they have with our current behavioral health system. So they have, you know, feel free to stay on, and you can see, you can hear, I'm sure it's not going to be like we've talked before on the phone several times. We know this
Right.
population, and we know it is a small sector of the population, but when you know this population, you know what it takes to help them be successful. Sometimes our providers don't always offer that, and our systems
Oh.
don't have enough trained people that care at the lowest level of direct care, which is unfortunate.
It is. But there's hope. A lot of hope.
Yeah, always. So with
Always.
that, I'll leave it up to you and the doctor to decide whether you want to stay or not stay. And we really thank you.
Well, you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It was nice to meet all of you.
It really was.
Thank you. A breath of fresh air, and sometimes an area that's not full of fresh air. So
Right. Stay
Thank you.
encouraged. Stay encouraged. Okay.
thank you. Bye.
Good night, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.